give us whatever we want. We ask him for really good things, like I asked him to, provide my mother with a way to walk. Sometimes we ask him for things that we feel are really good for us in our minds. But God is able to see what exactly we need. Despite what we think is best for us, looking at my nephew, he thought what was best for him was, I'm not doing well right now. Get me out of this situation. But my brother knew if he's able to fail and do well against Malachi, he could be a really great basketball player. Just like sometimes God looks at you and says, I know you're going through some stuff right now, and it hurts me probably more than it hurts you, but I know if you make it through this situation, you get out on top, you will be a better Christian, you'll be a better person, you will be a better man, you'll be a better overall person. Because I know better, I know best. But you guys may not feel like that's something. Alright. Yeah, I get you. But if everything goes like that, Brother Jonathan, I don't know about this Christianity thing, but if everything will happen here is right, then why would I pray? That's not always what God says. Sometimes God says no. Then, sometimes, God says later. Here's a story about me. I keep giving sports examples, but I was a decent basketball player. I was this high in 8th grade. I thought I was going to get like 6'4". And then I got to 9th grade, I'm like, I'm a grow. Like, bro, this is my year. I'm going out 6'1", boy. And then 5'8". All right. When I'm 10th grade, I'm going to be good. Like, I'm 5'8". So I was 5'8" my whole life. But when I was a 9th grader, I was a pretty good basketball player. Pretty good enough to where if I hadn't injured myself, I would have been on varsity my freshman year. So my coach came up to me after the end of the freshman season. He said, hey, Jonathan, there's this opportunity for you to go to Europe and be on this basketball camp. And what's really cool is you go to Europe and you'll play against people from all over the world. You play for kids from Spain, play for kids from United States, from Europe, from China, from Australia, all over the world. They're going to come to Europe and you can play basketball against these people. You get to learn about the culture of Europe. It's just a week-long basketball camp. I was super excited. It was during the summertime. I was like, I ain't got nothing to do. Definitely, I'm in. I take the packet home to my mom and I show her, and she's really excited about it as well. And we go to this big auditorium, very similar to this, and it shows on the screen. It shows these kids playing basketball, and like United Nations, you see this black kid with this white kid to this Chinese kid to this Australian kid. They're just all happy and together. I'm super excited. And then they get to the end of it, they say the cost. The cost to go is around $5,000. And you may have noticed about me, but we didn't have just $5,000 we just didn't have that at that point. So I'm I'm getting Snickers bars, I'm going to school, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna sell candy, I don't care what I'm gonna make this happen, mowing lawns, I'm gonna get this $5,000. I only had about 2 months to get this done. And unfortunately, I couldn't make it happen. I prayed to God for this, and I said, God, please let this happen. This is a good opportunity. I don't see why you wouldn't bless me in this way. Bless me, Lord. Please, get on my hands and knees. And God said, no, or at least I thought. Fast forward. So that was my 9th grade year. Went through high school, went through college. I don't know if you guys know, but I graduated engineering from Prairie View University. And I got out of school and I started working for a company. And the company was like, oh yeah, great, just new hire. We got this training, we all got lined up for you. And this training is, there was one in Houston, but unfortunately you can't make it that time. There's one in Europe that you can go to. And I looked at them like you want me to just go? I'm like, oh, and I'm like, what's the price tag? They're like, no, it's free. You get all paid free. The meals are free. You actually get paid a little extra money. You get to be there for 2 weeks, all expenses paid. Weekends are free. If you want to stay a little bit longer, the flight back home is on us as well. So when I thought God was telling me no, he was saying, no, brother, I got a better blessing for you later on. Don't give up. I'm going to give this to you first. So what's so important about that is the faith that you have to have in God, that no matter what the situation is, if he says no, if he says later, or if he gives you exactly what you want right when you need it, is that I have faith that he's going to give me, he knows what's best for me. Sometimes we only pray about the big things, right? I pray for salvation. I pray for forgiveness when I do something really bad. Or, I have a relative that is really sick and I pray for them. But God has opened the lines of communication for us, but we need to pray for everything. In 1 Thessalonians 5:17, it says, pray without ceasing. And what that basically means is you don't mean to be like get on your hands and knees and pray for 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for your entire life. What that means is every little thing that you come across, you should be sitting down in prayer. Right before I came up here, I was like, God, give me the strength. God, allow me to say words that are from you. Quick little prayer, right? You walk up and you see some dude that you don't necessarily like God, just give me the patience. Give me the patience. God, give me strength, right? Every part of your day is led by prayer so that no matter what comes towards you, I can handle it. And that's what we mean by pray without ceasing. Don't just wait for the big things to start your prayer. Pray about those things that are small. So when we look at things, there's one ways that you can look at it. When you pray, two things happen. You have peace and you receive God's power. To receive God's peace, you have to believe in his promise. In Luke 11:10, it says, for whoever asks, receives. Whoever seeks shall find. Whoever knocks, the door shall be opened. You have to believe in the promise that God has given us, that he's going to do whatever is best for us, as long as we come to him in prayer. Look at prayer as a door. If I open the door, I have the choice to open the door and receive God's blessing, or I can leave it shut by not praying. So if I believe in the power of Christ, then I can get the peace that I got the Most High God handling my situation here. The next thing you get from prayer is strength. And if you have to only get the strength, you have to believe in God's sovereignty. What sovereignty means is that he's all-powerful. If God is all-powerful, then that power is transferred to me when I pray. Christ lives within us to be able to give us that power. Let's finish the story of Jesus. So if you guys remember, Jesus went up to the hills and he was praying. And he came back down. And when he came back down, the disciples were out on the boat. And when they're on the boat, they saw Jesus, and something was different about him. He said he had peace. He said he had power. But what's interesting is the disciples were on the boat, and things were starting to get a little rocky. Wind was coming in, waves were getting strong, and I don't imagine how big the boat was, but I imagine, a few carpenters and fishermen. It wasn't some big, huge, cruise ship that they're sitting on. So they sat there, and as things were getting rocky and things were going, they looked at Jesus and said, basically, bro, help us. Like, we're about to go over. And he saw something different about Jesus. He kept walking towards the beach. They're like, all right, I guess I don't know what he's doing, looking for the rope. He keeps walking. And then there's water. And then he's like stepping out on the water. And Peter was like, what's Jesus doing? And Jesus keeps walking on the water, like, coming out to him, like, I'm walking, yeah, don't worry. So after he had prayed, he had this power about him. And Peter said, wow, that is awesome. I want that power too. Hey, Jesus, you mind if I just walk to you too? You mind just give me that? And Jesus is like, yeah, sure, you can walk. And Peter's like, all right. So he starts walking out on the water too. So Peter's walking, Jesus is walking. They're like, hey, we're walking through it together. Waves are cool, I'm good. But the power about that is when Peter looked at Jesus, he knew that he could take the same power that Jesus had because he had it within him. That's not the best part of the story. So Peter's walking, he's walking, and he realizes that I'm kind of far from the boat. I'm a little bit nervous. He looks down. And his lack of faith, he starts to sink. And immediately he's like, Jesus, help. And Jesus reaches out his arm and grabs him. What's so important about that is when we come to Jesus sometimes, we feel like I have to be perfect in my faith. But Jesus can work with a little bit of faith. And anytime you may falter and say, God, I asked you for this and you didn't give it to me, you lose that faith, God's grabbing you. God's making sure you don't fall too far. Doesn't matter what you do, he's going to make sure it works out for you. Just have faith that it will. And I look, and I hope we have enough time for this. But prayer, the power of prayer is greater than you can imagine. It's an open book for you to look and ask God for help, whatever situation that you may be going through. So I want you guys to take a moment and think about something that's in your own life that you need prayer for.